It's Thursday. Happy Thoughtfully Fit Thursday, everyone. My name is Jill Mueller. I am one of the coaches and trainers on Darcy's team, and I'm filling in for Darcy today on Thoughtfully Fit Thursday. We are talking about agility today, and specifically the Thoughtfully Fit practice of agility while on vacation. Now, I don't know about you, but after 15 months of barely being able to go further than my house, I am really excited to be able to go on vacation again. And in fact, my husband and I are already planning a few vacations for the summer. We have a couple of road trips coming up to see Brewer games, go Brewers. And we also have a longer vacation, hopefully later in the year. And as exciting as it is to think about traveling again, I want to let's be honest about traveling. It's not always relaxing. The things that we expect are going to happen don't always happen. And even my husband and I love just dreaming and thinking about where would we go on vacation and what would it look like. But sometimes even just that planning and that dreaming can get really stressful. So we're going to be looking at the Thoughtfully Fit practice of agility. And as we get started here, and as we're going to talk about 3 different tips that you can use both as you're planning and when you're on vacation, let us know what your vacation plans are. Throw a comment or a picture or an emoji or something that tells us what are you looking forward to for vacation either this summer or later on in the year as well. We want to hear from you. So let's look at the practice of agility. Again, just as a reminder, the Thoughtfully Fit practice of agility looks at how can you respond effectively instead of reacting. And when we talk about responding effectively, we're not saying that you're not allowed to have a reaction, because let's be honest, we're human. Things are going to set us off. There's going to be emotions that are high. And the goal is not to eliminate that reaction, because that's impossible. But what is possible is to recognize when those sabotaging thoughts are in danger of becoming sabotaging actions. So the goal of agility is to recognize when you're feeling that things are getting into a place where maybe you're going to react in a way that you don't want to. And that reaction could be along the lines of blowing up at your partner or saying something that you need to come back and fix later. That reaction might also be shutting down. And I know for me, oftentimes my reaction when I'm feeling really emotional or upset about something isn't necessarily to yell as much as it is to shut down and sort of retreat and just want to avoid the situation altogether, which, let's be honest, is the exact opposite of what we want to do on vacation, right? So let's look at a couple of tips. The first tip is to give some grace. Here's what I mean by that. Sometimes when we go on vacation, there's this expectation that it's going to be fun. We're going to have a good time. Everybody is going to be cheerful. Everybody's going to be in a good mood. And if you've ever been on a vacation, you know that that's not necessarily the case. Sometimes right from the airport, flights are delayed, kids are screaming at each other, or you get seated on the plane right next to a loud, noisy person of whatever age. When that happens, it's understandable. Emotions are going to get high because that expectation that you have for that vacation is now not being met. And so emotions are going to be present, not just for you, but for the people that you're traveling with as well, whether they're part of your party or you are just part of the same plane or the same hotel. So when you're practicing agility, you're recognizing that grace. You're recognizing the importance of giving people that space to feel those emotions. As you think about those sabotaging thoughts, the key with agility is then to recognize what to do to make sure it doesn't turn into a sabotaging action. And part of that is to recognize when you're having those emotions. The goal is not to say, okay, well, I'm really upset here, I'm really disappointed, but I'm going to pretend everything is fine, because that effort to even just pretend everything is fine can lead to a sabotaging action as well. So give yourself some grace, give others some grace when those emotions are high. It happens. We're human. We're going to have those emotions. And that doesn't mean that something is wrong with the vacation or something is wrong with the planning. The more you create that space and that create that opportunity to acknowledge those emotions, the quicker those emotions will dissipate. It's the avoiding and ignoring those emotions that make them stick around a little bit longer. So here's the second agility tip. Tip 2 is to check the temperature. And in this case, I'm not just talking about the temperature before you head out for whichever excursion you have for the day. The temperature that I'm talking about is the temperature of your energy, the temperature of the energy of what's going on with the people that you are spending time with. One of the statements in Darcy's new book, Thoughtfully Fit, Your Training Plan for Life and Business Success, talks about being the thermostat and not the thermometer. And what it means by that is recognizing that when things are getting anxious, things are getting a little crazy and chaotic, it can be really easy to match that energy and that chaos. That's being the thermometer. If instead you can be the thermostat and check to see, okay, this is where I want to be. This is how I want to be showing up. You're acting more thoughtfully and with more intention. And so when you're on vacation, check the temperature. If you notice things are getting a little bit heated, getting a little bit tense, instead of ignoring it and hoping maybe it'll just go away on its own, name it. Let your partner know, you know what, I'm feeling a little bit tense here. I'm feeling just a little bit out of sorts. I just want to let you know. So maybe we can just chill for a little bit, or just, take a break for a little bit. Or if you're noticing with the family that you're traveling with that everybody's walking on eggshells a little bit of like, okay, do we know what we're doing? Is somebody going to make a decision so we can get on with our day? Name it. Check to see what the temperature is for everybody else. Are they having a good time? Are there something else that they need? Is there something that needs to be discussed? When you take that time to discuss the temperature and talk about how everybody's doing, it avoids those blowups that might occur later on. And that leads us to our third tip. And this one I'm calling identify your sunscreen. And again, this isn't just about the sunscreen that you're going to need to make sure you don't burn when you go out in the sun. What I'm talking about identifying your sunscreen is recognizing what might burn you and figuring out what the sunscreen is for that. So let me give you an example. When I go on vacation, what I notice is that when I get hungry, I'm not having a good time. So when I'm home, when I'm working from home, when I'm out and about, I always have access to food. But when we're driving long distances, we might not always have that access to food. So one of my sunscreen bottles that I need is either having snacks in the car with me all the time, or recognizing and telling my husband that when I'm getting hungry, we need to stop to find some food soon. Now that might seem super obvious, but in the past, I didn't always recognize that pattern. And so in the middle of the day, late day, I wasn't at my best. I wasn't treating my partner in the way that I wanted to. I was feeling short. And what I realized was I was hungry and I just needed some food. Here's another example. One of the things that I love doing when I'm traveling, it doesn't matter where we are, I want to see sunsets. Doesn't matter if it's winter, summer, where we are. My goal is always to see a sunset at the end of the day. And so if we're getting close to the time when I know, okay, I want to be somewhere where I can watch the sunset, and we might not make it, or worse yet, there are clouds and we're not going to see a sunset that day, I know that that's going to set me off. I'm aware of that. It's not something that I wish was true. It's just the reality for me. And so I do what I can to recognize, okay, I'm feeling disappointment about the sunset. I'm not telling myself that you shouldn't feel disappointed, but just I'm feeling that disappointment. And recognizing what I can do instead to make sure that my disappointment doesn't then carry over into other parts of the vacation or onto the people that I'm traveling with. Regardless of what you need on your vacation, be aware of what it is that you need so that if you don't get that, you can respond effectively instead of reacting in a way that maybe you don't want to. So let's end this workout with this video with a quick core workout. Again, when you're practicing agility, you are getting ready to respond in the way that you want to instead of reacting. So if you have that moment where emotions are high, somebody says something that just didn't click with you the right way, or you're disappointed with something, hit that pause button. Hit that pause button and then think to yourself, what do I control in this situation? What choices do I have? What do I want to make sure happens in this situation instead of staying on autopilot? And then from there, act intentionally and thoughtfully in the way that you want to. Again, it takes work. Just like you can't do one sit-up and expect to have a strong core, make sure that you pause, think, act every day in different situations to make sure you are strengthening your core. I want to thank you so much for joining us today for Thoughtfully Fit Thursday. Darcy will be back next week. I wish you a wonderful week and happy vacations.